right, nothing off the top. Here we go.
What was your kind of role in trying to sign him?
I think it was kind of all of us together, really. Me personally I wasn't the lead part of it. It's obviously Mark and Ross and Edward. So made our best offer. We were obviously interested, like a lot of teams. So I wish him the best. But for me, it was kind of just business as usual.
What's your level of disappointment, frustration? There's 2 off-seasons in a row now. You guys have tried to sign the best free agent on the market, and you guys haven't been successful. What's the level of disappointment knowing that this guy could have changed the franchise?
Yeah, I think both of those guys, they're obviously great elite players. Every team that didn't get them, they're disappointed. But I think you wish them well. You try to move forward and you try to make your team better. But I think the fact that we're in it, as much as we have been the last 2 years, is exciting. And you got to kind of move on and hopefully make your team better another way.
What do you think this team does need to get better? What are the areas that you need?
I think you look at ways to make our offense a little more efficient, power, and just scoring runs in general. I think base running needs to be a little bit better, and then bullpen. I think that we've all kind of talked about that over the year, the offseason. I'm still talking about that now with the front office. So it's easy to say go right for power. I think obviously, we want that as well, but just scoring more runs and locking up the bullpen a little bit.
As you look at lineup upgrades, like what type of hitter or style of hitter do you think would fit that spot in your order best?
Someone that can do damage. I think having a threat, you kind of want that around Vlad, and I think we make a lot of contact. We want a guy making a lot of quality contact too. So that would kind of stand out to me, and someone that's going to run the bases well too. I think it's kind of going to be a big area of focus going into the year.
Some of the changes to the hitting side of the coaching staff, David Hawkins is going to bring a bit of a different look. What will be some of the focus of some of the messaging on the changes to the hitting?
I think having a little bit of a better understanding of how their bodies are working, how they're moving. Pop is really, really good with that. Really hunting areas to try to exploit where hitters can really handle the ball. We talk about it. I think every team talks about it, but I think just really narrowing in on areas where they can handle and taking some more shots to do some damage. He did that really well in Minnesota. Looking for more of that here, and I think just having our guys really understand how their bodies are moving when it's in sync, when it's working correctly, and when it's not, how to get it back.
How does Phil fit into that? What dynamic is he bringing?
Man, he's, I know not a lot of people have heard of him, but Pop knows him well. I think what he brings is tireless work. He's really process-oriented, has a really good understanding of what makes hitters good and how to keep them there. They're very aligned with how they view the swing and how it should work, and they've already been down a few rabbit holes this offseason with some of our guys. So it's going to be a lot of video, a lot of swing, and making sure that everything is kind of staying in line as the season goes.
And how does Hunter fit into that? Did you want to surely some continuity? What are the dynamics you want Hunter to bring to that?
Definitely wanted some continuity. Yeah, I think with guys coming back and having a familiar face, I think Hunter's going to be heavily involved in the game planning part of it. In terms of who we're facing, how we're going to approach them. Pop is going to headline it, but I think Hunter's going to spend the majority of his time doing that, and obviously being in the cage as well. So it's been a good back and forth with all three of them this off season, and looking forward to see how they kind of undo the puzzle that is hitting together. Oh man, you got to ask Vlad. I don't. It's the nature of the beast, I've known Vlad for a long time, and I want him to be here for a long time. It's it happens every year when someone signs a deal and kind of ups the ante a little bit, and I'm just looking forward to Vlad having another good year. Really, he's gonna get taken care of. You know what I mean? He's a really good player, and we want him to be here for a long time. So I don't worry about him, taking his attention off of what he's doing right now. I think things will work out for him, obviously, but we want it to be here.
Do you think he's really did he figure something out last year? He obviously had the 2021 year. That was the way he kind of progressed from beyond last year. Did you see him having a good guy?
Yeah, he grew up quite a bit, and I think understood what he needs to do to keep himself ready every single day, understands his swing a little bit more, and I think him and a lot of our guys are kind of ready to take that next step in their career, really. They've wanted more information. I think they're going to get more information going into this season. Not that they weren't getting it, but I feel like they're ready for it a little bit more than they have been. So that's kind of where Vlad falls into as well. Just really, really talented, but I think he's really starting to put together a plan and understanding what makes him good.
When you talk to free agents, do you have a pitch or do you just kind of say, hey, I'm here to answer questions, or how does that go?
Yeah, I have a little song and dance. I think we're a unique draw, right? We're representing the whole country, and we have a ton of resources. We have really good players, and we have a whole lot of money to spend, So I think that in itself is exciting. I try to answer as many questions about the team, the country, the city, the organization, kind of what the personalities are and how we like to do things. But yeah, it's a little bit of a pitch, if you will, and we do our homework on everyone. So it's been pretty cool to talk to a lot of guys. He's a sharp dude. There was some pretty deliberate questions. Where does my family sit? When do you open the roof? What's your farm system like? It's not a surprise that he's gotten the contract he got, albeit it's really, really big. But I think players like that, he's buttoned up on the field and off. So it was really, in depth. Obviously had a lot of things that he wanted to uncover about us. So I think there's a reason he's that good.
You obviously dug in a lot on him. How good news to you that his hitting style, his hitting genius is going to age 39, 40, 41.
55, right?
Right?
He's a unique blend of plate discipline and power. It's really, you do not like facing him, when you're an opposing team. I think whenever I say this about all of our hitters, when you control the zone, you have a chance, and he does an elite job of that. So you put that with a good approach and a really, bright guy, I think it's, he's going to be good for a long time.
Is that the hitting skill that tends to age?
I think so, yeah. Just, knowing what to swing, you're only as good as what you swing at, right? And he's pretty darn good at that.
Did Juan ask you about Vladdy and what your plans were? If you were to sign?
Yeah, no, not that I was aware of. No, not to me, no.
John, with Jordan can you just speak to what he meant to the organization?
Yeah.
And if there was any pursuit of bringing him back?
Yeah, Jordy went from Rule 5 guy to closer with an awesome light show. Everyone loves him. I spoke to him after we non-tendered him, and he understood it. Very professional about it. I haven't heard back from him yet today, but he was great. He was kind of what we stood for and how he went about his business. How, the teammate that he was, the intensity in which he competed with. I wish him nothing but the best, really, and I think we definitely wanted to pursue bringing him back, and it didn't work out. Jordy's at a point in his career, too. He understands that. He gets it, and I'm happy for him, and he landed in a great spot with the Phils. So I wish him nothing but the best. Oh, man. Jano and I go way back. I'm thrilled for him to get an opportunity to stay in the AL East so we can try to hit him with a few pitches this year. I'm happy for him. I know it's a down year, weird year for him, and I'm glad he landed on his feet. And as a guy, again, he's kind of like Jordy. You kind of just love going to work with them every day, and they're going to put the team before they, ahead of themselves. Everything you want in a teammate. So, wish him nothing but the best. And I hope he sweats a ton behind the plate down at Steinbrenner Field all summer.
John, related to that, you were on the coaching staff when you guys had to play in that year. I know you were only there for a few minutes.
Right.
They'll be there the whole year. Did you have to get the players to stop bitching and buy in? Or
little bit, yeah. I think it was more so people behind the scenes really that were taking care of families and kids and players. It's a lot that goes into it, and you have to be able to adjust on the fly and be ready for some things you're not really used to in the normal big league season. But I think Tampa has a good way of doing that. They're pretty agile as they are, so I'm sure they'll be ready for it.
John, you faced the Yankees a number of years before Soto got there, and you prepared to face them a lot this year with him. How much did he change that lineup when they first came around?
A lot.
And how so?
I think in years past, you look at a large outfielder and Aaron Judge that you really focus on, and then this past year and not taking away anything against anyone in their lineup, but then you put a guy like Soto in front of him, it posed a huge problem. He's on base at a ridiculous rate, and then Judge is hitting 60 homers, so that's tough. It's tough to navigate, and it changed their complexity really. I mean, the on base, the Yanks, they do a lot of damage, and I think when you put Juan in that lineup, he's on base and he's doing damage, so it kind of just it made them a little bit more difficult to navigate.
You guys obviously targeted him because he can change the structure of the lineup. How many players can do that the way he does?
It's a handful, It's just guys that can flip the leverage with one swing. There's a handful around the game, I think. I think whenever you're looking at 900 OPS and higher, those are the guys that they're doing damage and they're getting on base and they're helping their team win. So there's a handful around the league for sure. And I think he was at the sweet spot of age and ability. And I'm happy for Carlos and Gibby over there in New York. They got a great player.
Vlad is at a similar point in his career. He talked about how much growth he showed this year. What's the next step for him in his team? How much better can he get?
Good question. I think it's just kind of maintaining what he can do. If you take away April of this past year, it's a pretty elite season. It still was an elite season, but it could have been even better, which is saying a lot. So I think with Vlad, each year he understands himself a little bit more. I think he's at the point now he's understanding and looking around the league. These players that are getting all this money, these huge contracts. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not your batting average and your OPS and your silver sluggers. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think that's part of Vlad getting better too. How he trains in the offseason, how he supports his teammates, how he understands how people are pitching him. It's kind of all part of it too, and I think that's where he's making progress.
Some of the best lineups in the game. They've got not necessarily that one central piece, but they're trying to accumulate multiple. It's kind of an imagine. We're facing the potential of 1 year of Vlad, 1 year of Bo. Can you build a competitive lineup without that one central figure? Like if you just have depth at one through line, what are the challenges of having a lineup without those couple major damage guys?
Yeah, I think you can do it multiple ways, right? If you're doing it without the major damage guys, everyone has to be pretty consistent, and I think you have to kind of formulate your game plan accordingly with how you run the bases and things like that. Having Bo back this year, I think, is kind of going under the radar a little bit and what he's capable of doing, and that immediately adds an impact bat with 30 home run potential at a shortstop position. So I think if you can throw one more in there, you're looking at a pretty intimidating middle of the order. So that's kind of what we're shooting for, and I think we're banking on Vlad to continue to do what he's done, and looking for a normal season out of Bo, and you're off to a pretty good start.
Now that you've had a little time to look back on Bo's season, can you make any sense of what happened, why it was not?
Oh man, just in talking to him and watching him, got off to a slow start, and I think he's such a competitor. He's so obsessed with being great. He kind of got into a little bit of a funk, and I think for the first time since I've known him as a minor leaguer or a big leaguer, his swing didn't feel perfectly correct every single day, which is saying a lot. So searching for that a little bit, and then the injuries came on, and it was just kind of a snowball effect. So weird year. When you've been as consistent as he has been, and then you have one bad year, it just gives you a lot of confidence that it's going to kind of return to what it normally is. But it happens.
Was that how you look at it? It was just a weird year. It's just something that happened.
I think-
Or do you have to address something specific that you found?
I mean, I think within it, yeah, you try to say, okay, here's what was happening and why. There's definitely differences in what he was swinging at or how hard he was hitting the ball. With a guy like him who's so accomplished and so elite with his bat to ball skills, you trust that he's going to figure it out pretty soon. And I've seen him do it over the course of his career. So we've dug in a little bit on some things. He's already kind of hard at work with Pop on a few things that they've agreed to attack. And you trust that he's going to come out and he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder too. This is, Bo doesn't take losing lightly and doesn't take not being healthy lightly. So I'm excited to see him. Cool. Thank you, guys and gals.